Hello and welcome to the competition analysis part of our UGI project. So before we get going, I want to introduce myself. My name is Tanner Holt. I am a business management major at UVU, and I am a digital marketer. I'll be working for disruptive advertising upon graduating this semester, and I'm a huge soccer fanatic. I love watching Barcelona as well as the World Cup and playing it soccer at the UVU campus during the open gym times. Before we get started about the competition analysis, I want to ask just a little question did you know that according to March press release by the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, the U.S. airlines carried an all-time high number of passengers in 2016 of 823 million. That's 823 million passengers only in the U.S. And this is really important to know as we get going through the competition analysis, because as we talked about in the countries previous section, that the United States has the largest consumption out of these three countries that we're focusing on. Just breaking it down a little bit more, about 720 million of these were domestic or flights that were just in the United States, and about 104 million of these were international flights to other countries outside of the United States. And that's really important because this is kind of a trend that we've seen in all market leaders, is that typically the leading airline with the highest market share in that country is focusing on the domestic services in that country. But we'll explain that a little bit more. But let's continue with the United States, where we've already started to talk about them a little bit. Here are the top 5 airlines in the United States. You'll see Southwest, Delta, American, United, and JetBlue. The top 4 are really the most common ones that you'll see. Southwest and JetBlue only service domestic airlines. Delta, American, and United are considered the big 3 because they also do a lot of international flights, so they're a lot more known. But Southwest has definitely increased its market share over the past few years, and JetBlue, as a newcomer, is doing really well to have 5% market share in a market that's really hard to enter. They've really focused on being a low-cost leader, as well as a unique product, from having more leg room and just to really focus on the extra services they include. Other airlines really do focus on the type of flight attendants you have, or if they're going global. And part of the reason why these other companies are so much more successful is how many flight routes they have and stations they have. The more options you have, the more places you can go, the more passengers you can carry, your schedules can be a little bit more flexible. So that's also really important to know about the airline market, is that there is an advantage to having more places. But now let's go on to the United Kingdom. Here's the demographics of the United Kingdom. I'm not going to read through all of them, but it's really important to know that EasyJet and British Airways take about 75% of the market. So it would be really easy to buy out another airline, or even buy out another airline from the United States or China and move into this market and potentially take some market share from these other small airlines and essentially put them out of business, or at least take a good chunk from EasyJet or the British Airways. It's really important to know that EasyJet just focuses mostly in that European area. They don't go outside of Europe much, whereas British Airways really focuses on the international aspect. And that's what we've really seen in the United Kingdom. There are some laws that have been changing, and it could be a very good place to invest now because of some political circumstances, but it also is a little bit more of a risk. When it comes to China, it's really interesting. So the passenger numbers rose from 2015 to 2016 by about 11% to a total of 39, about 40 million passengers, which in comparison to the United States, if you look at the consumption, is relatively small, but that is growing as their economy is growing as well. There's not a lot of information because there is a lot of communism in China, and it's just not the best place to get those market share numbers, and we decided that that wasn't really going to be our focus the more we looked into China. So just some quick takeaways before we get on in the end, that the country demand is really important. Having, as you can see, the United States has a bigger demand compared to both the UK and China. The trend for market leaders, they seem to have a focus on domestic flights, and then the flight routes are a key competitive advantage. And you'll see that in our recommendations as we talk about possibly buying JetBlue and moving in more to the having a cash cow in the United States, but also having trying to take control of that United Kingdom market. But we'll go on to that proposal section next. Thank you.